JB here. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, December 16, 9/17. Really quick rant, talk about the market. Some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P futures slightly in the red here. Let's see, down about a tenth of a percent as we got a deluge of data. So we have the jobs report, October and November's. You had retail sales data come out. Uh, yeah, nothing, I guess, to me, nothing surprising, right? The unemployment rate uptick to the high since 2021, up to 4 point, was it 4.5, 4.6%, 4.6%. Uh, and the jobs report October is actually negative, right? I mean, I don't think that's any kind of surprise. And to me, that if there's, you hate to see bad data, right? Because I mean, obviously, you don't want people, you don't want a recession, all that, but it just gives a little more support to the Fed cutting rates, despite inflation not really coming in too much, right? So, uh, we'll see how the rest of that tomorrow after the close we get Micron, so that'll be a big data point. And then CPI data on Thursday, right? Am I wrong here? Well, anyway, so this morning, you'll have people kind of digesting this unemployment numbers. I'm trying to just trying to wrap my head around some of this stuff. But to me, again, if it was extremely strong numbers, right? Unemployment rate ticked down, best set expectation. I actually think that would be a bad thing. I hate to say that, but so we'll see how today plays out. I made this little chart here, and December has pretty much been a hold the line kind of scenario, right? Hold this. I always think of Braveheart, or even if I'm trying to think of some of these other memes. The Game of Thrones, right? Hold the door, hold the door. But that 679 handle, that's like, it seems like such a key support. Every time we've come down to that handle in the last week, markets have kind of found some footing. And even at the end of November, that like a key spot there. So I don't want to see that fall. I don't want to see that break. I was saying on the rant yesterday afternoon, if you had told me Oracle and Broadcom are down 17% each since December 12th. If you had told me both those were down 17%, I would say, oh, Nasdaq's probably down 5% over that time frame. Market would be in, I wouldn't say in a free fall, but would be a heck of a lot weaker than where we are now. To see it being resilient, I mean, to me, I think that's a good sign. Also, checking the amount of stocks trading over their 50-day moving average, even with yesterday's week session, the amount of stock trading over their 50-day moving average actually went up. So if you can create the scenario where some of these names in the AI space have been on monster runs, they start to come in, profit taking there, and then names that maybe haven't performed that well or kind of been just a lackluster performance, maybe they start to outperform. And I hate to use the word rotation, but I think that maybe that could be some ingredients for new all-time highs into the end of the year. That would be the ideal scenario. The not ideal scenario is today we break 679 on the SPY, we start to accelerate, and not only Broadcom and Oracle get taken on the chin, then it starts to roll over, and Nvidia, the Palantirs, other names have kind of held up. So don't want to see that happen. So that's kind of what I'm watching today. 679 to 686. The carbon copy action we had Monday and Friday was the markets hit highs at the start of the day, hit lows by 11, and then bounce around for the rest of the day. So we'll see if we get a carbon copy today. Hopefully not. Hopefully markets find footing, and maybe we can rally into the end of the day. That would be, at least for me, what I'd like to see here today. Anyway, so yesterday, talk quick about some individual names. Yesterday is kind of those days I don't do well in days like yesterday. And yesterday was the days where the stocks that I'm watching open, hit lows in the morning, and then bounce. And, if I got calls on the bounce, that'd be great. But then at the end of the day, they sold off again. So all that is where you have a day where premiums get killed on positions you're in. So thankfully, I was watching Reddit, and I put on the watch list this morning. Open at 222. By 10 o'clock, it's down at 213. So a $10 reversal. And then it melts for the rest of into the afternoon. By 3 o'clock, it's back into the green at 225. And then at 3 o'clock, someone hits a switch and boom, drops $8. Tough there, because if you're holding calls, you think you're great into the afternoon. You take a break, you go to the bathroom and come back, and now your calls are back in the red. Just not a great scenario. The good thing is, and I take things with a grain of salt, Friday, usually I was adding calls on Reddit into this week, into the weekly. So when my calls expired, I'd roll into next week. I didn't do this week for the first time in like 4 or 5 weeks. And even at the open yesterday with Reddit kind of flat, the calls were down like 30, 40%. So I don't know if it was pricing in some kind of move today or on Monday. But, I put on the watch yesterday too. It's just the implied move too is just insane. But anyway, we'll see how things play out today on Reddit. If it finds some support, I think it trades north of 240 if the markets find footing. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to trade that one. And then same with Lemonade, right? Similar setup. Even over the last week or so, trying to trade Lemonade for upside. Last week, all the way up to it was 79, then 84, and then if you're sitting pretty on calls and you're holding them for more highs, they pull the rug out, and next thing you know, it's back in the 70s. So overnight, red lemonade all the way down to $72. It's bouncing here. One of these days, I'll be back in some strikes. But right now, it's been a fruitless endeavor trying to chase lemonade and Reddit on the call side. One of these days, it won't happen. So hopefully, in the next day or two, we find some support there. So those are names I'll be watching on the call side. 1-800 Flowers, crazy call volume yesterday. 7,000 calls on 200 puts traded. I don't know if, I was looking, it didn't look like much was in the way of spreads. Almost looked like opening positions. So could be interesting. You start looking at just a valuation basis. It's probably a $6-7 stock. It's trading down here for 430 with that huge 30% short interest. So I'm not going to try and get calls just to play for a short squeeze or to become a meme stock. But now that you have iRobot, and I'm not going to talk about iRobot right now, but that's one of those names that people have been trading the last couple of weeks just on the premise of some kind of short squeeze. Maybe this is a name that finally garners some attention. It's had some big moves. I mean, we saw it back in October when I traded those calls for 2,000%, whatever I got those strikes on. We saw it back in the summer too, in July, all the way up to $8. Deja vu again would be nice. All right, so I still have some January 5s. I'm going to wait. If it does find footing, though, and looks like maybe there's going to be some more crazy action, eventually that call action will translate into the stock price. So, all right, that's 1-800 Flowers. Talked about lemonade, Reddit. CGC, I was doing a rant yesterday afternoon. It was spiking in the afternoon, just waiting on that news for the executive order to reclassify marijuana. I don't even know, what's the reaction going to be now? I just hope it's the start of a monster move in some of these names. You would think. Hopefully, it's not a sell the news event, but these names are. It's not like they're trading at multi-year highs. They're pretty much right around their lows. So you have to think at some point that happens. So I'll continue to wait for that kind of news to come out, or at least a catalyst. 199 is a big spot on CGC. If it breaks over that, I'll look for some more strikes because I don't want to be in a spot where I'm chasing. And then brings me to Roku, right? So Roku, just like Lemonade and Reddit, frustrating stock. I think I posted on the rant yesterday or in the chat room yesterday afternoon. It's like torture trading that name because every time it looks like it's ready to go, the sellers come in, could have a great morning. It's trading up 2%. And then by the end of the day, it's back to flatter in the red. No news, no catalyst. Finally, in like the last week or so, it seems like analysts are finally coming to the bull side on it, right? And I don't know if it was last week, I forget who it was. Well, Needham's always bullish on the name, but JP Morgan, they upgraded. And then this morning, Morgan Stanley upgraded from equal weight to overweight and raised their price target to 135 from 85. So I don't know if this is finally I wouldn't say the straw that broke the camel's back, but maybe this is finally the end of this stock kind of being range bound and it could finally break out. 116.60 is that high from earnings. It got up to 115 in the pre-market here. Depending on what the premiums look like, I might start looking at some strikes into 2026. Also, you read the note on, and I didn't get the whole note on Morgan Stanley, but to me, it's like people don't realize this name Roku takes advantage of all those content providers, right? So it wins whether Disney wins, Paramount Plus wins, HBO Max wins, all those names. It doesn't matter which name wins, as long as there's a lot of names in the space, Roku wins, right? So to me, it's the one true pure content neutral player that wins when regardless of who wins, right? So heads it wins, tails everyone else loses. However you want to whatever you want to call it. So don't be surprised. I finally might add some later date strikes on Roku to play for that breakthrough. The key spot here, or the key action today, would be if it holds its gains, right? So I don't know if it's 113, 114 by the noon hour. If it holds that, then I think that'll be kind of like the green light and then off to the races. I think that's about it. Of course, SPY's right here, 679. Hopefully find some footing here. I'd actually prefer the market to be right near the lows here at the open as opposed to gapping higher on data this morning. So anyway, let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.